Mr. Grant Cohn from Sports Illustrated. Grant, how are you today, buddy?
I'm batting 1,000, having a really good day. I feel like I got hired by the New York Jets last night. I feel like one of my own has just made it in the world.
That's why I'm happy that we're doing this today, because I know how much of a fan you are of Saleh. So, I mean, this is a great day for you. So, I guess that's where we should start, right? We found out last night that the deal's done. Robert Saleh is the new coach of the New York Jets, 20 minutes away from where I live here in Jersey. I get to keep my eye on Robert Saleh and McDaniel and track the progress of this team. So, talk to me. How happy are you right now, Grant? And what do you have to say as far as the move and what the Jets have to look forward to as their coach?
Well, I'm very proud of Robert Saleh. I mean, you remember like 2 years ago, Niner fans hated that guy. Like coming off the 2018 season, I think most fans wanted him gone and most media people were kind of indifferent and thinking maybe he needed to go. And since then, like what he's done with his career and his life is remarkable. In just 2 years, it's inspirational. So good for him. Good for the Jets. I mean, that's an organization that we think of making like terrible decisions year after year. This seems like a really smart decision. It seems like they made a football decision. Like they're not necessarily going to win the press conference by bringing in the defensive coordinator from Santa Clara, but it's the right move. They must have did their research. They made a really good decision. I mean, it's pretty cool. I want to ask you, you're from Jersey. You know what the media is like out there, what fans are like out there. Do you think Robert Saleh is built for it? Do you think he can do this? Because it's hard.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, just in comparison to what was here before, Adam Gase was aloof, not smart. When things came out of his mouth, you looked and you said, "What in God's name are you talking about, dude?" Like, in no way are you like saying, "Well, that was something that was inspirational," right? Gase. If you compare Gase to Saleh, it's literally like driving a broke down Toyota Camry and then getting like a Ferrari. Like that's literally the difference. So I think everybody here is excited, and I get a lot of questions from the Jets fans around here. What do you think? I'm like, congrats. And so when I tell you congrats, I'm telling you that I approve of the hire and you're going to see instant results. Maybe not in the win total, but you will see instant results with the way that this team competes and the way that they carry themselves.
Here's my question for you. It seems like he's kind of taking over a 49ers type situation. I mean, it's a really young team. There's a lot of cap space and they have a top pick. It's a lot like what Kyle Shanahan inherited, maybe with a little bit more in terms of what's on the roster. But Shanahan was afforded basically 3 years to build up his team. And when he lost year one and lost year two, everyone except me basically was like, hey, take your time, dude. Take your time, baby. It's the Bay Area. No one's putting pressure on you. I don't know if New York's like that.
That's true.
It's probably a 3-year project, but what if he goes 5-11 year one? Will they want to run him out of town? I mean, it'll be interesting.
Right. So, I mean, you guys, I mean, whoever's in the chat, right? You guys can let me know, and Grant as well. I guess I'm more familiar with the New York media because I live here than I am the Bay Area media. I don't really interact with many beat writers. It's just like you and a few others that I get to interact with. So I agree with you on that point. Like the back pages of the New York Post and the Daily News put pressure on, and that's the problem. This is the Jets' problem. The Jets have continuously run their organization through what the fans want or what the fans are yelling for, right? Yeah. And what's the old saying? Listen to the fans and find yourself sitting next to them. So, I mean, it's a great point that you bring up because the Daily News, the Post, the talk radio, it's nonstop with the Jets. Like they continue to kill them anytime that they make a bad decision. I feel like he's built to do it, but you're absolutely right that this media will put pressure on them to win. If it gets to year 3 and they're at a point where, like you said, 6-10, 7-9, yeah, the pressure will start to turn up a little bit. But that's why I think Saleh wanted an extra year because he wanted that sort of job security that Kyle Shanahan was afforded when he was first brought.
I mean, I think they'll be very enthusiastic about him. He's a great story. He speaks well. His brother was in one of the towers and survived. I mean, he's a great New York story. If he loses week 1, they'll hate him. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. So what I would have to say to Saleh is you got to develop some serious thick skin because they're not going to all like you the way that all the media in the Bay Area like you. It's just they're ruthless from what I understand. Right. Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at what the Jets players have thought about this, Quentin Williams has been quite vocal on social media about what he wants from him. So, I've never seen support like that from players with Adam Gase. So, off the bat, he's already.
Manning seems to have Adam Gase's back, but other than that.
Well, and you know what's funny about it is that Adam Gase brought Joe Douglas in as a friend move, and then he's the one who goes, and then Joe Doug, yeah, like so it's crazy, right? So remember, they ran through a whole draft with the general manager, and then they booted him after the draft and free agency, and then they bring in a new GM, which is Gase's buddy Joe Douglas. Now Joe Douglas stays, and now Gase goes. It's just funny to me the way the sequencing of the events. I bring you in, and then I'm the one who goes, and you get the job security of staying.
Yeah, it's very funny. Douglas has a good reputation. He has a ring, right?
Yes, he does with the Eagles.
He drafted Wentz. He was one of the people who drafted Wentz.
I think so.
He won a ring. So he's interesting. It's a different situation than Kyle. Kyle basically brought in a figurehead so he could make his own decisions and let John Lynch explain it. That's not what Saleh's walking into. He's walking into a partnership with a guy who has his own ideas, who has a good reputation. So maybe that'll help.
So Grant, this comment right here will lead me into the next point, right? So has Saleh reached out to you to bring you over as quality control coach? Because you can take the interviews now. There is no season. There's no way that they can block you from doing that. But it's really about, are you going over as quality control? And then we can talk about who he actually took over with him.
I haven't. I played the fifth on that one. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. So we'll see.
All right. Well, what we do know, in all seriousness, is that McDaniel went over with it's McDaniel that went over as his OC, right? Passing game coordinator.
No, it's LaFleur. It's
LaFleur. I apologize. LaFleur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
LaFleur, passing game coordinator. What do you think?
I don't know that much about Mike LaFleur. All I know is the Niners passing game isn't as good as its running game, and it's not as good as its play action game. I always kind of broke it down as like McDaniel run game, Shanahan play action, LaFleur drop back, and I've never really thought much of the Niners drop back game. Maybe that's a reflection of the quarterback. Maybe if he had Aaron Rodgers, he'd be a great, all of his patterns and stuff would work. So I don't really know much about LaFleur. I know that I love Mike McDaniel's play designs as a run game coordinator, but none of these guys, neither one has called plays before.
Right. So
it's not just about their design. It's about their decision-making and their poise in pressure situations in games. It's going to be very interesting, but I think what the vision is to do a lot, basically what Stefanski did in Cleveland. You take a team with a young quarterback who is in basically a ridiculous scheme and just put him under center, give him a run game, give him a play action game, and see what happens. It worked for Baker. It could work for Sam Darnold. We'll see. Right. They don't have weapons. They got to get some weapons.
Right. That's the thing, right? So as far as weapons go for them, Jamison Crowder, Brashard Perriman, Denzel Mims is a young guy. That's a guy that I'd like to see, but he was injured most of the year. That's good.
Yeah.
But, for the Sam Darnold to San Francisco crowd, you want to see Sam Darnold in the Kyle Shanahan offense, you're about to see it this year, most likely. So we'll see. Like for you guys that were beating the table about Darnold, you're about to be proven right or wrong. I wouldn't say that, right? Because like you said, he's never play called, right? And that's not Shanahan, right? So I don't know if that's the same thing just because it's the same system without the coach, right? Like I don't know if that's...
He's going to try to recreate what Shanahan does, but he ain't Shanahan. He's not Shanahan.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So he'll be in a Shanahan style offense, which is all the rage. And I suspect that there'll be 7 or 8 other teams that you'll see run everything that that Shanahan runs. So you're going to see it across the league. So anybody who's interested to see what Darnold's going to do with Shanahan type offense, you're going to see it this year. After Adam Schefter said last night that he suspects, obviously things are fluid. January 14th, he says he suspects that Sam Darnold's going to be there and that they will be in their entertaining trades for the number 2 pick. But
that's what I would do.
14th,
and that's what I would do, actually. What would you do if you were running the Jet, if you were Saleh?
See, that's the thing, right? So you getting Justin Fields or something like that, I'm not certain that you want to put him in a position to start right away. Yeah, with that roster, that you could wind up stunning his growth more than anything, With Darnold, he's 23 years old. Like, do people understand that? Like, he's that young, right? Yeah. In an Adam Gase offense, right? Yes, boneheaded coach, right. And that's the other thing, right? So the Jets have the second most cap space in the league right now, okay? And I suspect that you're going to see 49ers float their way over there. They're literally going to run exactly what the 49ers ran on offense and defense. So, use Check Bourne. I think the one that really stands out, and it's because of where he's from, K'Wan Williams is from Paterson, New Jersey. He can go back home, and he'll be 10 minutes from the stadium.
Jordan Reed's from Connecticut.
Yeah. So there's a lot of guys that will wind up going their way over there. The guy that I would see probably most likely is probably K1 because of the location.
And plus, Saleh loves him. Loves him. Yeah.
Right. So what I would think is that, if I'm taking over this team, let's give Darnold a shot. Next year, if Darnold plays bad, you're going to get another high pick next year. And like you said, conventional wisdom would tell you that just because Robert Saleh is not successful in the first year doesn't mean that he won't be successful down the line. So you have to give him that shot anyway.
That's a good point. You don't necessarily even have to draft a quarterback in round one at any point if you're the Jets this year, because if things don't work out, you'll be in position to get one next year. And you might get a better one next year. I don't even know who the quarterbacks are coming out this year, but the way I look at it is basically in this draft, there is one surefire starting quarterback. It is Trevor Lawrence. After that, there's probably a second starting quarterback in the bunch, but your guess is as good as mine as to who it is.
Absolutely. It just depends on where you fall, right? And it might not even be one of the first round guys. Would anybody be surprised if Trevor Lawrence was the one, and then all of a sudden, few years down the line, we're like, man, how did everybody pass on Mac Jones?
Right. Or Desmond Ridder. Or he's not coming out. Or Kellen Monder, whoever. Someone that was not talked up at all during this process. So it's kind of scary. You could just wait and get someone next year who I don't know who the guys are next year. So I don't know if that's a better deal. I don't know.
Right. So
Desmond Ridder's coming out next year.
Desmond is next year. I like that he went back, actually. That's good to better yourself and raise your stock, honestly. I like that idea.
Yeah, if you're a junior coming out, you should be a first-round pick. Otherwise, go back to school.
Go back to school, absolutely. Yeah.